What good is silver stacking if you can't sell your silver, regardless of how high the price goes? I'll fill you in on the current liquidity problem and how you may stay safe by stacking wisely and keeping tabs on market news. Where shall we go? Concerning silver, the news is always shifting, and there has been a lot of activity. The market for silver is also constantly changing, as are the premiums, the prices, and the methods of sale and purchase. The futures market is currently below the spot price, a phenomenon known as backwardation. This is just one of many odd occurrences in the market recently. Hence, we must remain nimble. As I've mentioned on my channel multiple times, diversification is key, especially when dealing with a single precious commodity like silver. Still, the industry is currently experiencing a liquidity crisis, which has knock-on effects across the board. This is particularly true in the US and EU, where refineries are cutting back on their purchases of various silver products. In a prior video, I touched on this subject. Other channels have also covered it. But my friend Think for Yourself inspired me to do this video after seeing a great video that somewhat embarrassed me into realizing that I am not as ready as I should be in the event that I need to liquidate. This is just a tiny sample of what is known as stackable silver. Aside from this particular item, I am primarily in an accumulating phase. Although all of this might be classified as bullion, I am finding it difficult to sell part of it to local coin shops due to the fact that they are currently overwhelmed with metal from all directions and refineries are not interested. Thus, dealers are left with a lot of risk and the responsibility, and he mentioned an Ohio dealer who is going to wonder if he should take a piece of the bullion. In the previous video, I discussed the liquidity situation and how refiners are refusing to take certain types of silver, such as constitutional, 90%, silver jewelry, sterling silverware, and the like. They're no longer interested, and I know several local coin shops in my area that used to have a ton of it, and it would flow through. Other dealers have been seeing situations where they would fill up 50-gallon buckets or barrels with it to send to refineries, and they would accept it. That will happen again, and we will see those days again. But for now, especially with the price shooting up to $51 an ounce, who knows what it will be by the time you watch this video? It's when the market gets flipped and liquidity becomes an issue. Now, my friends at Summit Metals are still buying and selling precious metals, particularly silver. If you ever find yourself in need of purchasing or selling, be sure to look them up. Their customer service is excellent, but they won't compensate me if I recommend them under duress or in an unstable market. Always do it in light of your own knowledge of the markets, as well as your own unique financial and life circumstances. Each person's situation is unique. When stacking silver, though, we must exercise caution. The quality of silver varies, because lesson has been learnt the hard way here, and it is especially relevant because dealers are still trading silver eagles. The premium is beginning to rise once more for those. Worldwide, this bullion coin holds the highest level of popularity. Even though you might be living in a different country, silver eagles are still quite liquid, so you should choose the coin that is most common in your land. They are manufactured at a rate that surpasses all bullion coins, gold and silver combined, in history. I agree with that. So, to put it another way, it might be Britannias or maple leafs if you're in the UK, and maple leafs are also extremely liquid in Canada and the US. The vendor I spoke with informed me that eagles and maple leaves are involved. That's the most important thing to them, and if anyone goes to sell them, they'll pay top dollar for it. The lesson here is that if all we do is stack silver, it will be dull. However, I do have a lot of eagles and maple leaves. Having said that, constitutional silver remains a belief of mine. At this moment, it is simply solid and not liquid at all. I believe that if you are in an accumulation mode, then acquire some constitutional silver and hold on to it, because they have been overwhelmed, and that has been the case for some time. So you can buy it at very close to spot. Hold on to it. You are about to get scorched if you sell it now, to the point that you might not even have any market for it. No one ever predicted that we'd reach a situation where selling constitutionally recognized US silver or world-spending silver in your countries may be impossible. I can see that happening. Therefore, these refineries will accept certain foreign items, such as kangaroos or sovereign silver coins, but they aren't taking as many bars, especially 10-ounce ones. The market will return to normalcy at some point, so in the meanwhile, I think it's good to have a selection of these stuff. We will find a solution to overcome this. Who can say for sure what the final cost will be, given the uncertainty surrounding the matter? However, due to the rapid increase in silver prices, everyone is scrambling to make adjustments. The market has experienced some disruption, which has led to the current liquidity crisis. Coincidentally, the silver shortages we've been experiencing are really converging on the LVMA. The LVMA is witnessing firsthand how difficult it is to fulfill all of those paper contracts. It has evolved into a real market. Anyway, there's a lot of silver floating about. The major stakeholders just do not want it in this shape. As for the rest of us who are stockpiling silver, bars aren't exactly trendy at the moment. It is peculiar because, on the surface, you would expect this material to be considerably simpler to produce than even a single ounce of a billion coins. That, however, is not true. Certainly, that is not the general public's impression. Dealers do not desire collector silver, or poured silver, or anything like that. And this is only one example of collectibles. I bought a lot of these things because I enjoy it, and I have a lot of it. To me, that seems awesome. I believe I paid close to spot pricing for this particular piece. When I see something cool, I have to have it. However, I might not have a chance to sell it right now if I wanted to. So now I'm at a loss. I am not responsible. It's only the silver that I'm holding. Since I am not in a position where I must liquidate, I think it is acceptable. However, this can become an issue in the future for collectors and stackers alike. The world is your oyster if you're into silver collecting. Plus, I have a ton of silver, including a plethora of collectible pieces. Compared to eagles, such bullion is currently unpopular. Thus, should I alter my approach and increase the number of eagle stacks? I am uncertain. Being able to switch things up is also something that's great about you. The markets also require nimbleness. When I'm under pressure, whether financially or emotionally, I can sell my silver eagles for a tidy profit. The greatest way to be ready, though, is adaptable, in my opinion. Eagles, in my opinion, are always a good bet, with the possible exception of situations where their premiums are excessively high, as was the case during the initial silver squeeze movement. Silver eagle premiums were ridiculously high every time you attempted to purchase one. They were also quite expensive, so you could earn a lot more money when you sold them. However, in comparison to other forms of bullion, the disparity between the repurchase and sale prices was wider. Also remember that the market requires us to remain nimble. Situations evolve. You can't just use any old silver. The lesson is being learned the hard way. When it comes down to it, silver is silver. It loses a lot of value, though, if you can't sell it. Also, make sure you have a few of them available. In the event that the silver price continues to rise at its current rate, and you plan to sell some of your holdings in the hopes of making a profit, but you end up being unable to do so and finding yourself in a bind, it is wise to have some of these items on hand. Preserving your stack has always been something I advocate for. You safeguard your stack with fiat currency. I realize it seems absurd. On the other hand, this is a prime illustration of what is happening in the silver market at the moment. Dealers across the nation are reporting receiving identical emails from major refiners like Metalor, who refuse to take any or nearly any of this material. The coin shops are currently experiencing a hardship due to their departure. This is the most important thing for us to remember, everyone. So, the basic premise is that you shouldn't assume that part of the silver in your possession will be well served simply because the price of silver is high. So we're trying to squeeze it out. There will be alternative channels via which you can liquidate. But first, we must extract ourselves from the positions we are now in. That is the second way you can safeguard yourself. In spite of the fact that local coin shops and refineries aren't interested in buying it, there are still viable options for selling authentic items like this. I think so. And one option is to contact a vendor that still accepts this type of material, such as Summit Metals. But there are also transactions that take place between individuals. On the other hand, there is an element of danger in that. Before you do it, make sure you understand the hazards. Be adaptable though. I also think Silver Eagles make a solid addition to a pure silver stack, and I believe that is a lesson that needs to be considered. Be careful when you purchase this material. Avoid paying unnecessary premiums. Get them the finest offer possible, no matter where you are. And I believe that realizing that and being aware of it will benefit you in the long run. The creators of this film owe a debt of gratitude to think for yourself. Someone should take note of this lesson. Aim to be smart, diverse, and versatile. By the way, I just wanted to say how much I appreciate you all watching and asking that you hit the like, share, comment, and subscribe button.